Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash, double honors unto the elders and apostles, the great most and well, and shalom to all of the Archeum, teaching this word in faith and truth and sincerity, especially a sincere shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect destined to be saved on the brother Caleb from the GMS England London Forecasters Camp, back with another lesson to help edify those of which I spoke of. I always like to begin by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, and the real Israelites are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, West Africans predominantly, but you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because we as a people have been scattered among all the nations through our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like, because Numbers chapter 1 and the 18th verse tells you that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. Hang on a second, I'll do this. Right, so wanted to do a lesson here based on something I saw last night after I came home from camp. Long story short, we had a beautiful camp day as usual. And after camp, I was speaking with one of the brothers in the camp about a very particular subject, which was well, it's quite a broad conversation, but it touched upon like a couple of topics of interest to myself, and how things have kind of how do I say, how my perception of things have changed since being in the truth, and how some of my earlier life experiences have informed my experience and decision making that I have today. I mean, it's kind of difficult to explain without getting into the nitty gritty of the conversation, but it was a very good conversation, spiritual conversation, and it got me thinking a bit more about how sometimes certain situations can come up in your life where the Most High can teach you lessons or send you messages, and basically about being open and receptive to receiving them, if that makes sense. Anyway, long story short, came home from camp, and last night I was in bed and I was partaking in a pastime that I enjoy. One of my hobbies is that I tend to enjoy playing video games, particularly fighting games. That's what I was really into before coming into the truth. You know, in my childhood and teenage years, I used to play a lot and compete a lot. So long story short, new game came out recently, Tekken 8, which is one of my favorite game series, and I picked it up. So I was laying in bed last night playing the game, and I happened to see something that was just really kind of mind blowing in light of the conversation I'd been having with the other brother at the camp after camp. I saw something in the game which really kind of shook me in a good way, because I never expected to see it. But sometimes, the Most High will show you certain things, or put certain things in your way so that you see it, and it can be a message just to you. Now, it might sound strange, other people may think, well, hang on a minute, maybe you're reading too much into it, or maybe you're saying something when there's nothing there to really be seen. But that's not the case, because the Most High doesn't work in coincidences. So all throughout my life, I've experienced this type of thing where another one of my hobbies is that I used to love to watch films a lot. Not so much anymore, because a lot of modern films are shit. But growing up in the 1980s or whatever, one of the things my mum used to do was take me to the cinema a lot. So I used to see a lot of films, and I really enjoy storytelling. The art of visual storytelling, and script writing and cinematography and things of that nature. I've kind of got a passion for that, and I'm able to oftentimes discern subtexts and symbolisms and stuff like that. It's just something that I've always been into, like being able to decode visual symbols and so on and so forth. That's just what I'm into. But the point of the matter is that oftentimes I would see things in these films that would teach me little life lessons, which, you know, still stick with me to this day. My point being is that the Most High can speak through a variety of ways. Primarily, he speaks through the mouth of his prophets, but he can also send signs and symbols in many shapes and forms. And being a spiritual person, well, really, I'm speaking to the elect men of the nation of Israel. Mainly being a prophet, you know, you have to be open and receptive to these things, because, you know, sometimes messages are sent in strange ways. Now, this is a good example of what I'm saying. I was playing this game Tekken 8 last night, and I saw something in it, so I'm going to show you and see if you see it, right? And I'll break it down. I've got these videos saved. Let's see if it plays. So I was in the what was it? Doesn't play it now. Right, so I was in the practice mode yesterday because, as I said, I like to, you know, play at a high level and compete in these games. So the first thing I did getting a new game was I went into the practice mode, and I was going through every character's moves and looking at the frame data and, you know, seeing how their executions are and stuff like that. Now, the funny thing is that I'm going to play this clip and see if you can see the strange symbol that I saw in it, and I'll break it down if you see it, or if you didn't, I'll play it. Right, I don't know if you saw that. I'll play it again and see if you catch it. Right, so I'm going to play it a third time and I'm going to break it down. Right, so pay close attention to the character on the left of the screen. Look, keep watching by the top of his head and see if you see the symbol in there. Did you catch it? One more time. Right, so I had to do a double take when I saw this, right? So it doesn't pause. Damn, this stupid. Oh, there it pauses there. So if you look, it's hard to. This app's kind of finicky, right? There you go. If you look to the left of the screen by the left character's head, what do you see there? If I'm not mistaken, that's a chariot, right? And it's sending down a beam, and it's beaming people up into it. Now, this stage is one of the new stage. Well, it's all new stages in this game, but this stage is the stage of a character, one of the new characters in the game named Azucena, which is a fighter from Peru. So this stage is set in Peru, and as we know that a lot of the Northern Kingdom Jakes dwell in the land of Peru. So they've put an image of a chariot there, and it's sending down a beam and beaming people up into it, and then it flies off. Now, I was playing this last night in my bed, and I was expecting to see this. I had to do a double take. I was like, what the fuck did I just see there? Now, usually when you're playing the game, you've got what's known as your heads-up display, which is, you know, the energy bars, and I've obviously got, you know, inputs, key inputs and frame data at the bottom. So what I did is I had to say, hang on a minute, did I really see what I saw? So I tried to do another capture of it, and I got a better angle, and I turned the heads-up display off. I turned all the menus and you know, frame data information off, and I thought, let me see if I can try and catch it again. So let's see if this video plays. Right, so I turned all the, as you can see, all the information off the screen. Just got a pure shot of the scenery. So let's see what happens here. There you go, look at the top left of the screen. See the chariot? beam people up, and then it flies off towards the mountain onto the other side of the screen. Now, this is in the fighting game Tekken. Why would they put that in the game? Let me play it again. Keep looking at the top left of the screen. There you go. So here you have it. The stage is set in Peru, and you've got a chariot appearing on the screen, flying in, beaming up some Jaken and flying off. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. I mean, why on earth would that be in the game? It's got nothing to do with the supposed storyline. Well, you could say, well, I could do an analysis of the Tekken storyline, but that would be another video. But the point is that that's been put in there, and it's not by chance, because I used to work in the games industry, and things that get put into games aren't just put in there on a whim. It's usually a very large production team, and you've got people who are actively checking what's in the game constantly, checking assets. For example, if you're a software tester, which is what I used to be, you're checking assets and you're giving reports constantly. Is the collision detection working on this wall? Are the textures working on this object? When you make objects in 3D, you got what's known as texture maps. Are the texture maps working correctly? Is the collision detection working correctly? Is the sky working correctly? Is the animations on the birds working correctly? You're constantly, throughout the development of a game, you're constantly checking these elements, and if anything's wrong, you submit your bug report, because that's what it would be called, a bug. When things don't work in games, they're called bugs. And as a software tester, that's your job, and however long the development cycle of the game is, you're constantly looking out for things. And when you have what's known as a AAA title, which is what Tekken is, it's a very high profile release. It's a very long running game series. 29 years? Tekken's been out for 29 years. You don't just things just don't get put in there in a random. I'll give an example. There was one time I was working on a project, and one of the employees was a bit disgruntled, and he put a link to his website, but he hid it in the game. And it was something where you wouldn't really see it if you didn't know. But his website had a lot of, questionable content on it. And it was found out, and it was a big thing. There was a call from the head developers, like, yeah, we got to take all these elements have got to be taken out of the game, and the guy who put it in there got fired. And we had to make sure that any links to his social media that he'd hidden in the game, because he tried to do it on the sly, we had to make sure all those assets were removed. So, and that was for a different game. I wasn't working on Tekken. That's for a different game. But the principle is that things just don't get put in a game on a random, on a whim. So if it's in the game, especially in a high profile game like this, it was put in there for a reason, for a purpose. Now, the reason why that's in there is because really the Most High wanted it to be in there. Now, I'm going to say something that might shock a lot of people, but you got to really be spiritual when you understand this stuff, right? As I said, Tekken is a very high profile game. A lot of people buy it, a lot of people play it. But sometimes these things exist simply for like, the message might just be in there for one person. Like, even though millions of people might buy and play the game, The Most High can put messages in these things. Like the Most High, because really the Most High is one who inspires people to do things. He inspires film directors to make movies. He inspires, video game directors to make games, or he inspires authors to write books, or he inspires artists to paint pictures, or all of these things. Really, it all goes back to the Most High in terms of its origin, right? So what I'm trying to say is that that symbolism that was put in there might have just been put in there for a few people, i.e., a few members of the elect to see it and for it to strengthen their faith. So, for example, in my case, it's quite funny. I saw two chariots in the course of this week. One time earlier on in the week where me and a few of our other brothers linked up to visit another brother who's unwell. And on our way to visit him, we went into a shop, to buy some, it's like just a, corner shop type thing, just to buy something before we went to visit the brother. And as we came out of the shop, there was clearly a chariot flying overhead, really bright in a dark winter night sky. And we came out of the shop and we was all looking up. And one of the Elamite guys who owned the shop, he tried to come out of the shop as well, and was looking up trying to see what we could see. Now we could see it as clear as day, and we knew what it was. But the Elamite guy was like looking all perplexed, like he couldn't see what we were looking at. But that goes into Jeremiah 10 and verse 3, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. And then yesterday when we was at the main camp, we finished, and again, as I was talking with the other brother about, funny enough, I was talking about video games and life experiences with him, we saw another chariot clearly flying over our head. Then lo and behold, after that, beautiful conversation, I came home, a bit late, I was lying in bed late at night, playing this game, and then lo and behold, what do I see? The symbolism of a chariot flying over Peru and beaming Jake up. So, the most, and this is what I say is funny because, everybody's got their favorite game series. For me, Tekken is like my number one favorite game series. So this game just came out, on Friday? And I picked it up and was playing it. And lo and behold, I see this symbol of a chariot in it. Now, it's funny because I'm saying this, but it's like the most I put that in there for the sake of the elect men, to strengthen their faith. Because when we see chariots, it reaffirms our faith. Even though this is just a video game, the fact that that symbolism is in there, it triggers your mind to think about the scriptures. You're thinking now about, hang on a minute, man. Yeah, the Most High is he's gonna send his as birds flying. The Most High is gonna defend Jerusalem. He's gonna send his chariots, man. And there it is, plain as day in the game. Now there was also another component to this, which is a little bit deeper, which is why I say it was kind of uncanny when I saw it. What I realized is this: when I was watching this video, or so when I was playing this game, when I first saw it, let me close this menu here. When I first saw it, I was playing this game and I was using this character, just trying out this character's moves, right? And get this one in. What happens is, like it's a bit slow. So I was using this character, and that's when I saw it for the first time. I was like, what the hell is that? Is that a chariot? And lo and behold, it was. But I was scrolling through the moves list, and I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but every character's got different names for their moves. Now, the interesting thing about this situation is that this particular move that this character's got has a name, and the name is the same name as my mother's name. So when I break down what I'm seeing here, so basically underneath the energy bars, you can see it says the name of the move, and the chariot appears to the left of that name. But the name of the move is the same name that my mother had. Now, my mother died about, 2 years ago, maybe. So she's in the spiritual realm right now. But the thing is that she actually believed in what I was involved in, or I should say what I am involved in. I told her the truth. And for some years she was against it, but then she started to come round, and then she started to believe in what I was doing, and she started to support what I was doing. In as much as a woman can, because really the Most High is dealing with his men, but in as much as a woman can be supportive, my mum was extremely supportive, especially towards the end of her life. So, the Most High has taken her and put her in the spiritual realm. But the interesting thing about the symbolism I see here is that I see a chariot, and then I see my mum's name, and then the chariot proceeds to beam Jake up and then fly off. So someone might say, oh, you're just seeing things that aren't there, or you're just reading too much into it. But no, I'm not reading too much into it, man, because I don't believe in coincidences. So the Most High showed me this thing in this sequence, in a particular order, and the only takeaway I can take from that is that, look, man, have faith. You know, Lord willing, I will endure to the end and make it on a chariot myself. And then ultimately, we're all going to be with the Lord, and all the loved ones that we've lost, we will be reunited with them. So that's a very powerful message. Now, the funny thing is that the Most High put this message in this particular game, which just happens to be my favorite game series. So lo and behold, I see it. So it's like the Most High speaks in mysterious ways, and when you're spiritual, you start to see it more. Because the Most High is not going to get down off his throne and just come down and say, "Oh, do this, do that." Sometimes you've got to be spiritual and you've got to discern the signs, because signs can be hidden anywhere, and symbols can be hidden anywhere. When you're spiritual, you start to see certain things. Now, I want to give another example. I want to show something else, because let me try and pull up a video. Bear me a second if I can get out of this screen. This app's a bit fiddly to deal with. If I go here, let's go to YouTube. Right, so I done a video some time ago, which was titled "Sometimes Demons Let a Cat Out of a Bag." And there was a time when I was out teaching. It was me and another brother who's no longer in the truth. He fell out and he's doing his own thing. I should say he's bugged out and doing his own thing. But one time I was out there teaching with him, and a woman came up to us, right? Now this was shortly after my mum died, maybe 3 months or 4 months after she died, right? And this woman came up and she was clearly possessed by demons. And she was asking us questions. But all of a sudden, the demon in her switched. And she asked me a very direct question. Now, the question was basically a spiritual one, because, as I said, my mum had just died. And what did the demon ask me? Let me play it and you'll see, right? With God only knows how many unclean spirits she started. Let me play this clip. Function, man. And the Most High is going to bring all these things. Showing you that it's the Most High that's working. You see, right now we were talking about the kingdoms and the destruction of the kingdoms, right? Now this woman that was filled with God only knows how many unclean spirits, she started talking to us. And she was saying some very strange things which were out of context in light of what we were discussing. Like, for example, she would say, but you're quoting from the book of Maccabees or something like that. Now, most, bugged out Jake don't know their arse from their elbow when it comes to scriptures, but this demon could pinpoint certain things in what we were saying, and then are saying, oh, but that's not from the real Bible, that's from the Maccabees and stuff like that, where, obviously the demon knew exactly where we were quoting from in the scriptures. Now, the interesting thing about this is that we were teaching as we were teaching, but the demon asked the question, Alright? Now you gotta think about this, right? Here we are, we're two grown men, right? We're out there teaching the Bible, as we do. The demon in this woman asked a very specific question. And the question might go over the heads of most people, but it didn't go over my head because I could tell the question was aimed at me. Now the question was, what's your mum's name? Now that might sound like, why is that an issue? Well, I'll explain why it's an issue because I don't want to go too deep into this because this is my personal business. But not long ago, my mother passed away. She died. Right. The most I took her, now she's in the spiritual realm. So this demon comes up to the camp when we're teaching, and it makes a point of asking, "What's your mum's name?" I'll play the clip and you'll hear it. Man. And the Most High is going to bring all these things. Showing you that it's the Most High that's working. You see Putin and this guy, Kim Jong-un of Korea, and the president of China, and Taiwan, and here we are, we're talking about, the kingdoms and the fall of the kingdoms and the coming Third World War, things heating up with Vladimir Putin and other countries that are against Babylon the Great, such as North Korea, who have nuclear capabilities. We're talking about that, and why is this woman all of a sudden on a random going to ask, "What's your mum's name?" That's a question as far away from the subject matter of what's being discussed as one could possibly imagine. Furthermore, when does a grown woman walk up to a random grown man who she doesn't know and ask, "What's your mum's name?" Let me play it again. And the president of China, Jong-un of Korea, and the president of China. See, so this is what I'm saying. The demon that was in this woman knew what it was saying, and it was trying to get a response out of me. But obviously, we're quite experienced in dealing with these people, so we remain spiritual at all times. But that question could make someone who might not be rooted in this faith bug out because, due to the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we're not ignorant of what happens to spirits when they depart from their mortal flesh. We know what happens when you die. You go up before the throne of the Heavenly Father, and He'll tell you what you did in your life, and you'll rest for a certain amount of time. Then you'll come back in your lot every third or fourth generation, and you'll play out your judgment on the earth. However, in this circumstance, my mum died just a few months ago, not long ago, end of April. But I've made my peace with that. It's like, because as I say, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. So it didn't take long for me to make my peace with the judgment of the Lord. And furthermore, my mum believed in this truth before she died. She supported what I was doing, and she became a believer. In as much as a woman can be a believer, but, so I feel cool about what's happened and transpired, because at the end of the day, this life that we're living right now, this isn't about winning. This is about losing, because we're here to suffer our punishment for our transgressions. So you have to be acquainted with grief, and you have to be acquainted with loss in this go around, because it's better to go to the house of mourning than it is to go to the house of feasting, as the scriptures say. But if you're in the house of mirth and feasting right now, then, it's going to end in tears for you when Yahweh Shai returns. So I'd rather go through the adversities now, suffer the losses and the hardships now, and be in the good graces of Yahweh Shai when He returns, rather than to be enjoying life now and having everything around me, all my loved ones, around, and then have to suffer the punishment of the wrath of the Heavenly Father when Yahweh Shai returns. Now, this is an interesting thing, because the demon basically gave its game away. And similar things happened during the time when Yahushua was walking the earth. There are many accounts when Yahushua was, healing people and stuff. And the demons that were in the people would start speaking and they'd say, "Thou son of the Most High, as thou come to torment us before the time." And Yahushua pretty much told them to shut up and cast the demons out, or he told them to be silent. Because obviously they were giving game away. They were saying, like, this is the Son of the Heavenly Father. Roughly paraphrasing. I'm going to get some precepts in a minute. I'm just explaining the point. Because the demons knew who Yahushua was. And likewise, the demons know who the elect are, who the men of the Lord are, who the prophets are. Now, I can only hope that I'm one of those men. But when you're out there fighting spiritually, battling these principalities, you can start to see certain things, certain signs which indicate that, you know what, man, the demons know who you are. And if the demons know who you are, then Lord willing, if you continue to labor in this truth, your name might be written in heaven. So I want to show something else because and now I'll get some precepts. It reminded me of this scene from The Exorcist. Exorcist is a pretty badass film. Probably one of my favorite films. There's a scene, a couple good scenes, like for example where this priest here, his name's Father Karras in the film. There's certain times where, like, he'll be walking through the subway and he sees a homeless man, and the homeless man will say something like, "Spare any change for a choir boy," or something like that. And then later on in the film, when he encounters the demon in the girl Reagan, some of the things that he's heard before, for example, "Spare any change for a choir boy," like that the bum said to him in the subway, the demon's repeating these phrases. And then when you really, and maybe I'll do a spiritual analysis of this film, because there's a lot of deep stuff in this film which goes over the head of most people. But when you start to really analyze it, you think, hang on a minute, the spirit that was on the man to say that in the subway obviously informed the spirit that was in the girl. So it was quoting what this man had heard before, and it's playing with his mind. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. I don't want to play the clip because I don't want to get any copyright strikes from Warner Brothers, but you can see the clip on the screen here. You can type this in the YouTube search and you can watch it, because in this film, this character, Father Karras, his mother dies, and he feels guilt about it, right? And because he feels guilt about it, the demon starts to play upon that in order to try and fuck him up mentally. And that's how the demons will work, man. So I'm showing this to say, or to edify what I'm saying about this situation here, where if I wasn't rooted in the faith, what this demon was saying might have bugged me out. If I was like, the demon asked what's my mum's name, I don't know where my mum is, what happens after people die, is she gone forever, is she burning in hell, all them kind of weird, I say weird because those aren't right thoughts, and they seem alien to me now because I know the truth. Thankfully, all praises be to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for waking me up to the truth, and also for making me strong enough to be able to endure little spiritual punches like this. Because again, as I say, we're in a war, man. And let me read Ephesians. That's a good scripture to bring out right now. Starting at Ephesians 6 verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. See, this is, when this demon was talking shit, the wiles of the devil, man. For you wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers.